Good afternoon. Thank you for taking the initiative to set up this meeting with me. I know it is a high priority on your list to ensure that this issue that we're discussing is resolved in a timely manner and also in a manner that works with our business identity. So, as an HR manager, what I would like to focus on here are three things: the ensurement of a positive work environment for all of your employees, the ensurement of productivity for your store, and also the limitation of liabilities. We want to prevent any accusations of liabilities that could lead to fines from the government or retaliation from employees. So, ethics is important in human management. As I said before, it is an important method that we use to ensure not only the limitation of legal liabilities, but also anything that could come back at us from the public, from our employees. If we are acting in an unethical manner, that would almost ensure that we would have less productivity because employees would feel that the business does not have faith in them and is not giving their best practices to them. So with the proper practice of ethics, we are ensuring that we are showing at higher levels that employees matter to us and we want to ensure their well-being. And with the limitation of liabilities, with the practice of ethics, that will also get out to the public because it will prevent any sort of legal action taken against us if we were to act unethically. And that legal action would filter out into the public and reduce public trust. And we want to keep that with our customers and also with our employees. So the problem, as discussed, stands that your employee, Jerry, has been coming late to work. And I am happy that he came forward to you and explained his situation because it gives us an opportunity to reassess how we run business. So, as I'm sure you're well aware, employment is something that comes with certain goals and certain requirements, and one of them is to be on time. So the fact that Jerry has been late is something that is not in agreement with his job function and what he has been hired to do. This can also lead to a breakdown of workplace structure. As you mentioned, employees that are his coworkers have been grumbling about having to pick up the slack that he has left behind by being late in the mornings. That breakdown of interpersonal relationship ultimately affects productivity, which is something that affects the business as a whole. So this is why we need to contain this and address it, and I'm happy that you've come forward to me to create a solution. So I think the best way to move forward with this issue is something that we've been discussing as a branch at higher levels for a while. I would recommend that you implement a flexible scheduling method. This is something, as I said, that we have been discussing for a couple months now as to best work with our employees and to increase productivity. And we think with the scenario you've placed and with your business that you and your store would be the perfect place to run a trial experience and a trial run of this program. So how this would work would be that first you would have a pre-program or before the implementation, pre-implementation evaluation of your employees. So in addition to your semi-annual, biannual evaluation of employees, this would be in addition to that, and it would include special questions to understand how employees feel about their coworkers, about their work schedule, about their own productivity, and also how a manager such as yourself sees your employees and their productivity. So that would be a pre-implementation plan. Then implementation would look like the ensurement that employees would be able to create their own schedules and have more flexibility. So this would solve our problem because someone like Jerry, who cannot work at a certain time, would not be placed to work in that certain time. And that improves productivity and people's opinion of their job, and it's a benefit all the way around. So There would still be some level of management from you to ensure that slots and shifts are full, so there isn't a gap in who's working. But employees would get a say in where they want to work based on their own schedule. So this really involves a lot of trust with your employees that they will not take advantage of this or use it inappropriately. And it will ensure that you have a say in exactly how this is run. So, with this implementation, I think we can improve all three of those aspects I talked about before. The work environment would improve. There wouldn't be that interpersonal conflict as we saw with Jerry and his coworkers because he was being late. Remember, Jerry has been on time in every other shift, and his only problem is not his own fault. It's not anything he can change. It's an external issue. And I feel like instead of terminating him and losing that valuable resource, that tacit information that he holds from working here, we need to use that as a catalyst to change our system and to understand what needs to be amended so that we can benefit all of our employees. Next, it's important because productivity will improve. If people are working in the times that they would like and they're not being late or picking up the slack for anybody else, that's productivity. And it's a limitation of liabilities. Any issue that would come aboard with Jerry individually changing his schedule with preferential treatment is negated because this isn't something that's just applying to Jerry, it's applying to the store as a whole. So, with this, it's important that we know that this is something that needs to go forward with delicateness and with determination. This is not the fault of Jerry. We cannot blame him for his own economic standing and for him not owning a car. That would be a problem that would result in a breakdown of interpersonal relationship. It could almost qualify as discrimination. So, I appreciate that you've given me some questions. I'd like to go over them now. First, you asked, is it fair to give preferential scheduling to Jerry? Now, as I stated before, because everybody in your store would be given flexible scheduling, the fact that Jerry would be able to change his schedule to something later in the day, which he can go, would not be a liability and would not be an ethical issue. If anybody were to bring it up as that, we could ensure that the fact that he is given a special treatment or preferential treatment for later in the day is not based on anything other than necessity. So there's no legal or ethical problem because we're not playing favorites or we're not benefiting someone based on something that another class does not have. It's solely based on necessity. And others in the business will also get the same opportunity, so it's not just benefiting Jerry. You've also asked me to explain why confidentiality is important in this scenario. Confidentiality is very important in this scenario because the ownership of a car is considered financial information. And it is not on the manager's onus to disclose someone's financial information. That is an ethical issue, and it can sometimes be a legal issue. So, because he came forward to you and disclosed that he does not own a car and he takes public transportation, that's fine. But if you were to spread that information, or if I were to spread that information inappropriately, that would be an ethical issue, and it wouldn't benefit the business in any way, shape, or form. Finally, how do we communicate this with Jerry and to your store as a whole? I believe if you check in with Jerry via an email explaining that you understand his situation, you thank him for coming forward and disclosing his situation, and you explain that steps are being taken. 1. And then if you organize a staff meeting in your store to explain the new scheduling method that's going forward. That is also a benefit because there needs to be some sort of buffer period for this implementation. So the time that it will take you to do that pre-implementation employee evaluation can also be that time that you do just an introduction to the new system. So thank you again for taking the initiative and meeting up with me. I would love to answer any further questions you have. And would next Tuesday work for you? We are having a larger meeting for the district to discuss implementing this proposal in your trial run. Thank you again for meeting with me. My name is Michael.